Okay, so you got into a fun tavern brawl. You socialized a little bit with some characters, a goblin named Mr. Plug, and sitting next to him was a gnoll named Master Scourge, who didn't talk much, but he liked to show off his gold teeth and scars. And they talked, Mr. Plug talked a lot about Captain Barnabas Harrigan, right, the free captain of the Wormwood, and how great a captain he was, and he spent a lot of money liquoring up the entire bar, which then turned into a fun bar fight, and pretty much everybody was knocked out by the end, except for, right, you were knocked out way before. Halflings.
Jules took on the table.
Except for Melissa's character, Phoebe.
Yes.
And Joel's character, Gato. El Gato.
Gato de la Sol.
Yes.
Del Sol.
Now you wake up with a pounding headache and the sickly taste of yesterday's ale in your mouths.
How was that?
No.
You're on a hard floor. There's a deep, rhythmic creaking noise, very unlike the sound you're hearing now. Let me fix that. There we go.
There we go.
And there's this feeling of the room swaying as if you were still heavily intoxicated. And the first thing you notice is this overwhelming, sour stench of vomit. Joel and Melissa, your characters are actually sleeping in a cot, in a hammock. So you're a little bit more comfortable because you made friends with the pirates last night, and you didn't have to be press-ganged.
We can still smell the smell though.
Oh yeah, you're right next to them.
That's what it looks
So
like.
yeah, it's just some iron bars between you and them.
Thank you.
Supper.
As you're waking up, everybody else is kind of waking up around you. You recognize many of the faces from last night's bar experience. A lot of familiar faces, including the two kids who, although they left with Joel, they were put into this the prison, the brig with the rest of you.
Some say more.
Wait, I got him out of there.
Yeah, it's for their own safety, is what you were told. So why don't we start off with probably something we should have done last session. Describe your character so that the other players can sort of see who you are. Let's start with Padrig.
Patrick is a halfling rogue smuggler. So he's short because he's a halfling. Brown hair, green eyes. Of course, he's drunk and not feeling real well, but he tends to be kind of a jolly person, you know, because...
We saw that last night.
Oh, I don't remember. But,
Rosie Cuswell remembers.
So,
Is she on the ship?
She is.
Okay.
She's in the brig with the
you
prisoners.
know, he's little. He can't fight really well because, you know, he's little. So he tends to live by his wits. And
What's he wearing?
well, that's kind of a just pants and boots, and this has him in kind of a rust-colored doublet type, you know, thing over like a linen shirt.
Okay. Put your character in the brig. Actually, it doesn't really matter.
And he's a
Honestly,
little shiny because I didn't get to matte coat him today.
So just broken.
Sorry. I've got about 5 more Joshua printed them. I just have to.
Oh, good.
Okay, so that's Patrick. Joe.
Ugh.
Killian, right?
Yeah.
I love this.
Describe what we see.
I don't know. I'm a young guy. I don't even remember which backstory I chose. Seen a lot of war. Mostly keep to myself. I still haven't changed my type.
So do you have scars, or is there something that, like, how do we know that you've seen a lot of war?
Probably.
You muscular?
Yeah. Yeah.
Flurkin.
Probably some scars you wouldn't see because they'd be covered up. But just a stern look about him.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of withdrawn. Doesn't really want to get into conversations with people. But isn't afraid to get into conversation with people. I'm wearing a studded leather, which I'm not sure what that would look like.
It's leather armor. You can imagine just a shirt made out of leather. Probably straps on the side to keep it closed. And then the studs are just little metal
little
buttons, basically, so that if somebody hits you with a bladed weapon, it absorbs some of that impact instead of just letting it go through the leather.
And I was supposed to have a broken pistol, but that was probably taken away from me.
Interesting that you say that. Yeah, you notice that most of your belongings have been confiscated.
Yeah.
Even mine?
Yes, but
Somebody took my sword.
if you have something that might be easily overlooked, then I might let you keep that, or I might make you roll for it. But definitely, like, anything small, like a holy symbol or a tiny isopod.
So I would not have my...
Was hiding. Was hiding.
Sure,
Okay.
it wasn't drunk. So well, and also
She wasn't.
you weren't press ganged.
No.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm wondering if I kept any of
you
my
might have a
things.
little bit more. Now they're still gonna, like, it's sort of like checking into a club, right? They don't know you yet, so they're gonna do a little pat down and say, hey, we're gonna take this and this, but otherwise you come in. So until you're part of the
How
crew.
thorough was the pat down?
What do you
roll
have?
for it.
Like a dagger in my boot sort of thing. Like I probably had one around my waist and a hammer, and then maybe like one in my boot.
Sure, I'll let you keep the one in your boot.
Okay.
Since you volunteered,
But I
would not
be a
have
little
mine.
bit more lenient with you.
Okay.
I would not
So
have
go
my
ahead
pistol.
You would not have your pistol,
Even though it's broken, they would...
because they're not gonna, like, test fire it, right?
Dagger,
Well,
it's
That was part of my thing, though. Like, you could tell from looking at it, it was broken.
Which do you want to keep?
Oh. If I have to choose, then probably
one's
the
more
thieves'
expensive?
tool. Yeah,
Okay.
thieves' tools because they're masterwork.
Okay.
They were me mothers.
They took your
They
dagger.
would be mothers.
They overlooked your thieves' tools.
Okay, yay.
Melissa, why don't you describe Phoebe for us?
So Phoebe's young and a little bit scruffy, but she looks to have like blonde hair with these different colored dreadlocks in it, and obviously face paint of some sort on, and these robes with like blue with some white embroidery, and just like I said, looking kind of scruffy and young, but not like, more like just poor, not like homeless, but and then occasionally you might see this giant isopod that just kind of peeks out, maybe crawls around, and then goes back to hiding.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That isopod is sweet.
It is.
I
They
wonder
printed
what it was.
that. And it moves. Show it. It goes.
Yeah.
It's like a real one.
Oh.
Isopods are the roly-polies of the sea.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty.
Cool.
Does it
Okay,
have a name?
Yo.
Ursa.
Or
Yeah, put it
sorry.
on your shoulder.
Ursa.
Ursa.
Sorry
Okay.
for having
She
I like
named
that.
it. That's awesome.
Okay, describe what we see.
Well,
What race is your character?
I'm a half-elf samurai.
Okay, so a half-elf.
Yep.
So you would have some elven features, but also mixed with some human.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mostly just tall, though, right? Like, you're not actually like this big, bulky character.
No,
Right.
I'm pretty.
Okay.
I'm pretty.
What was your character's name?
So I can't look at her
Mermail.
and tell her, "Hey, go rip the door off the hinges."
What do
Okay.
I look like to you?
She's a tank.
She's our
She
tank.
can take some damage, but she's not exactly like a burly thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Still like me.
All right, Joel,
I'm
Thought
still
you were a dude.
describe Elgato for us.
Yeah, when it
Okay,
comes to
well,
drinking.
basically, I'm a cat folk. As far as what y'all could probably see about me right now, I'm obviously a war priest, as I'm wearing ceremonial armor made of silk. Probably, I'm not sure if like the lore of like the area or whatever, but if there have been like crusades or holy wars, I was probably heavily involved in them, and for some reason seem to kind of avoid the subject with people I don't know, or be hesitant to really talk about, much of my past.
Yeah. Okay. And you have a peg leg.
Which is hilarious.
So the peg-legged cat who sometimes lands on his foot.
Not last night.
Not last
I
night.
love that. Like, can I jump off this railing? Like, you can fall off the railing.
Falling
You
is
can
stuck.
try.
I'm gonna jump off this rail.
Yes, that was an epic moment.
Oh yeah.
There's some conversation going on as people are waking up and they're starting to realize the situation. People are talking about what they plan to do. The kids actually have been awake for a little while. They didn't have as much to drink last night than their kids, so they always wake up before it's convenient.
Yes.
And you can hear them over in the corner kind of chatting and conspiring about how they're going to get themselves out of this situation. The little boy, Jake, is really upset that his knife has been taken from him, because if you remember last night, he had this little scrimshaw that he was carving on a whale's tooth, and now that his knife has been taken, he feels like that one connection that he has to his life is not able to be completed. So he's pretty upset about that. But Jakey, the little girl, she's convincing him that Jackie, is it Jackie?
I guess now.
Jackie, the
Jackie's
little girl.
got a trigger
was
word for
Jackie
me,
and
so I
Jack.
didn't remember.
Jackie and Jack.
Alright.
Ah. Yeah.
Okay.
Continuity.
Speaking of continuity, I got a new miniature for the old man with the hook arm,
Oh.
so he doesn't have a hook arm anymore.
Aww.
That's okay. We'll just retcon that.
Alright.
Yeah, Jack Scrimshaw. Yep, you're right, and Jackie Magpie. Okay, so Jack is upset that his knife has been taken from him, and Jackie's convincing him that she's just gonna steal it back. It's no big deal, right? She's a pirate now. She can do what she wants. In the meantime, that pompous little gnome Conchabar Shortstone,
Yes.
the one that was trying to hit on Rosie Cuswell last night, that Patrick was so chalant to.
Yeah, I'm assuming that a lot of the vomit we're smelling is from him.
Yeah. He's
Probably
vomiting.
a little bit from me.
He's the one in the corner puking. He is puking his guts out. And now, like, it's gotten to the point, the puke is just kind of spreading out, and you can see that everybody's moved away from that corner. And now he's just over there dry heaving, but the sound of his dry heaves is horrible enough, and the smell of his stale puke. But interesting that Sandara Quinn is over there, and she's sort of consoling him, and she's put a hand on him. You can see her hand kind of glowing as she tries to
Which one was she?
remove some. She's I will show you Sandara Quinn.
Okay, the pirate chick.
Yeah, she's the one that walked into the bar and just really looked like she should have been there, right? The pirate chick.
She looks like Besmara.
She does. And actually, she wears a holy symbol of Besmara, one of the things that was not taken from her.
I would notice this.
You do notice that. Proud of you. For those of you who don't know, Besmara is like the pirate goddess. It's the goddess of the sea. So that's what's happening. What would you like to do?
So I'm guessing, even though I came willingly, my sword has probably been taken at least temporarily.
Yes.
Who else is in the room with me? Is there anyone I can speak to?
Yes. So Phoebe's in the room with you, as well as a couple of pirates. Okay, so there's a drow, a female drow, and she has all of her weapons. And then there's a little dwarf.
This one? The drow?
Yes. And they're actually all sleeping. They're in their cots. So I just put them standing up because they look stupid if I lay them down. So the drow is sleeping in her cot, and then the dwarf is sleeping in his cot. He's got the cot on the bottom, or the hammock on the bottom, for obvious reasons. And then there's another pirate with a blue scarf on his head. Make a perception or wisdom check, whichever's higher.
Perception I have +4.
Yeah, you're in that room too, so you can do it.
Perception I have +4. Wisdom I have +2, so I'm gonna go with this.
You're still driving. It's fine.
Okay, 6, 7, and 18.
We're not in that room anyway.
So my middle roll is a 7.
+4.
Plus perception +4, so yeah, 11.
You feel like you've seen this guy before, but you're not sure exactly where.
Is he asleep?
Yes.
Everybody's asleep.
You
on the other
remember
side.
him as one of the two guys that kind of came in at the end of the night last night. And
And that's the guy with the blue scarf, right? Okay.
And I believe you also made the perception check last game to see that when Contrabar ran out with all the alcohol, he came back in, he was actually pushed in by this guy.
Contrabar is that short,
little gnome.
pompous.
Yes, the guy that's puking his guts out.
Okay. Oh, he is as well
Just
as
dry heaving. What?
I thought that was
Me
her.
lad.
Unless she was one dry heaving.
No, Contrabar's dry heaving.
Oh,
She's fine.
I'm a halfling.
she was like the one that passed out from the alcohol.
Yeah, she drank a
But
lot.
she's not. Okay, alright.
Okay, well,
I don't know if she drank a lot, but she got the most drunk. Yes.
Well, if everyone,
Oh yeah, didn't take much.
There's also, you also recognize the lady with the fancy pirate hat, who was the lady in that back room that said, "Follow me." She's there too.
but everyone in this room is sleeping.
They're all sleeping.
Is it possible for me to go, because I don't see anything other than the brig and the cargo hold down here, is it possible for me to go up into the other levels of the ship and try to find someone to kind of talk to see what's going on, what's going to be expected from here on out?
There's a door there, and so you walk out the door and you can see that it leads into a big storage area. There's also stairs that go down on the backside of those stairs that go up. But, yeah. So those would go down to a lower level.
Like the bulge.
Like the hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your basic storage needs are right here in the front of that third level. So if you go up the stairs, you'll come out by a man, dirty-looking man in a dirty cook's outfit. Smells like he hasn't washed it in a couple of months. And he actually has a chicken sleeping on the bed next to him, and he's passed out with
asleep too.
Yeah, he's passed out with a bottle in his hand, and he's just snoring really loudly.
Can I follow him? Do I notice that he's?
We don't know that yet, but that's
You can
up
see,
here?
yeah, that's right there.
Okay.
Because I would follow him.
Okay, so you would follow him, and so you see the same stuff, right? You come up these stairs right here on the back side of this, and so immediately you see the pass out. Well, we don't have to move everybody around. It's just, I just needed you to see like where people were generally located on the ship, and it's just visual aid. But if we're not in combat, it really doesn't matter. So yeah, and then immediately the smell of like a farm, just overwhelming. And there's chickens running around, and there's pigs, and the pigs have torn open one of the bags of grain there on the side, and so everybody's kind of gathered around that one bag and eating as much of it as they can, while the man responsible just snores away.
Okay, but so I come up here, and still, as far as I can see from where I'm at, there's no one like awake here.
No.
Okay. Well, it's a good bet that someone's driving the ship, so is it possible for me to head up to the upper deck?
Sure.
and I'm gonna follow him.
Okay, so you both circle around, and you can see the entire kitchen area, the galley on this side of the stairs. And you come up the stairs here, you circle around, you go back up the stairs there, and you exit right here. These two doors open up, and now you can see it's early morning, and you can see that there's a lot of activity on the deck of the ship.
Okay. Can I, since there's obviously people around now, is there anyone, when I come out, is there anyone that takes notice of me and contacts me? Or is there,
Yeah.
Or can I scope around and try to find who I would best guess might be the first mate, someone that could tell me,
So your first perception is actually this guy here. He looks too pretty to be a pirate. You're not sure, but you think that he might actually have eyeliner on.
It's Johnny Depp.
And he's there, kind of bitterly swabbing the deck, just pushing this mop back and forth on the deck, and then dipping it in some water and pushing some more. And you also see this way. Come on up, Pug. You can see this really dark-skinned, one-eyed man with an eye patch, not hardly wearing any armor, just sort of real rough and tumble looking dude, like he's been weathered for years. And he's standing at the helm, steering the ship. Next to him, you see the two guys that you recognize, Mr. Plug and Master Scourge, from last night.
I'm guessing Master Scott is the first mate.
And so the guy pushing the pretty boy, pushing the mop around, looks at you and says, "Oh, good, you are finally awake. Here, come and take this mop. I need you to swab the decks."
I'll be like, okay, I was just about to offer if I could lend an assist. It's my first day on the ship, so I'm not really sure what my duties and responsibilities are yet.
Well, we will figure that out today, as soon as all of the others are awake. Ah, you are here too! Congratulations! There's a mop right there. When you are swabbing the deck, just make sure you get it wet. None of this silly, clean it off thing, okay? You understand? Keep it wet. Okay, so you swab.
What kind of chick is that?
You don't have to check
I'm just happy to be up on the upper deck
Yeah,
and not
fresh
down
air.
below.
Right from
It
the bottom.
smells much better up here.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
I'm just
glad to be
delighted
out
to be
here
on
with
the
the
top.
fresh sea air and not
Yeah.
in the brig.
Yeah, you could smell that vomit. It was kind of seeping
Yeah.
through into your side of the ship. So, how about the rest of you? What do you want to do?
So everybody on our level's asleep.
Well,
If I were to stick my head through, I don't really see that anybody down there's calling the shots.
Can
From
we
what
stick
you
our
can
heads through?
see-
We're locked in.
you're locked in.
Yeah.
Well, it's bars.
Yeah, and from what you can see, you can't really get your head through the bars, but you can look through the
Yeah,
bars.
that's what I'm saying.
And what you can see, there's just people asleep, and you can hear some distant snoring.
I feel like I want to shout out and protest as to why I'm behind these bars.
Uh-huh.
I'm woken up behind these bars.
Yeah, that's gonna
I
get
kinda
you real
wanna-
far.
Kind of want
On the rest of us too.
to do something or shake the bars and start yelling or something. Get the goblet to start.
I guess we kind of just look around, take stock. We're still trying not to puke, Yeah. Oh, Rosie lass, you all right?
It's Patrick, right?
I think so.
The little halfling, she looks around for her fiddle. It's nowhere to be seen. Oh, my fiddle! They've taken my fiddle!
What?
Ah!
And make me weapons. They're all gone. You got your things.
No, they're all gone.
Oh, this is
Don't
weird.
touch
Which one of you took my katana?
Wait, it wasn't any of us! We're in the brig with you.
Well, there's the one dude in the corner puking his guts out.
He's in the brig too, and I'm pretty sure you don't have a katana.
Yeah, you don't see a katana on the little gnome that's dry heaving in the corner. In fact, a quick look around shows that nobody in here has any of their weapons.
Alright, then. Which one of you has an idea of how to get out of here?
Sandara Quinn, the pirate-looking chick, she's like, Oh, they'll be letting us out. They will. The time will come, and then we'll get to work. So rest while you can.
Well, I can get away from the
It's not like
little,
you've done this
the
before.
little guy in
Yeah, what kind of work?
Yeah.
Ship work.
Well, as long as I can get away from the one guy heaving
Very
in the
phonetically
corner.
accurate to what it actually is.
With Besmara's blessing, love, we'll be out of here soon enough. In the meantime, how's everyone else feeling?
Well,
I got smacked by a tray.
we all got smacked by a lot of things.
Table throwing on top of me.
Oh yeah, you got a table thrown on you.
And a barrel, I think.
so you're a
You must be sore.
Bismara too.
Pretty sore, yeah.
Huh?
You're a follower of Bismara too.
I am. You follow Besmara?
I do.
Ah. Sandara Quinn.
Patrick Gavin Killarney after service.
Nice to meet you, Patrick.
You took Kandar. Sandara?
Sandara.
Sandara.
Yeah, Sandara seems strikingly cheerful for the situation that she's in.
Yeah, I'm thinking she's maybe done this before. She's a plant, but she's a follower of Bismara, so.
Well, unless they have any further conversation, I'm not guessing they're doing much else except sitting in the brig.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm up here swabbing the deck, has like any of the other crew noticed that one of the new people is like already up out here just doing their job like nothing's wrong?
Yes, so as you're swabbing, you notice there's other people. So there's people up in the rigging, doing rigging type stuff, right? As the captain makes turns, you notice him calling out orders, right? Sails to port and starboard, oh. And so as he does these calls, right, people up in the rigging have to make adjustments, and then people down on the deck are also making adjustments in how they heave the ropes and whatnot. So you've got a little halfling up there in the rigging who's got some axes, little hand axes hanging at his side. He's not using them at the moment because he's in the rigging. You've got this chick up here in the crow's nest, just kind of lazily looking out, not really looking out. And then a chick down here that's swabbing the deck, as well as this greenish, almost looks like a half-orc, except the lower half of her is more like what you would see in a tiefling, right? It's kind of the lower half of like a fawn or a satyr, hooves and the backwards bending knees and stuff. So those are the other people that are working, and then she's swabbing. Yeah, definitely. She's swabbing the deck and she's adjusting ropes. And then there's a ugly creature up here that from where you are, it almost looks like a dark old goblin kind of thing.
From here, it looks like Rocket.
So would it be?
But he's like in the shadows, like in his face.
Would it be super conspicuous if I started swabbing my way in close enough to try and get the gnome's attention?
The knoll?
Not the gnome, the gnome.
The gnome?
Yeah, the one that's actually easier to talk to.
The goblin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you can swab that way.
Okay. So let's just say
Yeah, you make your way over towards the bottom of the
I
stairs.
swabbed out. I'm still
is-
Well,
swabbing.
that's
I'm
not
still,
you.
Oh. Also, I'm still swabbing my way and get to about right here.
Okay.
Does he notice me yet?
Sure, he notices everything. He's watching the crew.
So what if I like look up and make eye contact and like just like give a friendly wave or something?
He waves back.
Okay.
You waves.
So I'm like, my friend, do you have a chance to talk?
We'll talk in a bit.
Okay. So just
Okay.
keep working for now, right?
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. And I keep swabbing my way back along the deck, kind of, I'm making up and down,
Yep. You can go up the stairs. You can go up these stairs and swab up here, but that lady seems to kind of look at you
She seems
this
to
is
have-
my area.
She seems to have it under control.
So you swab back down the other side of the stairs.
Hot spot.
Yeah.
Beat it, stupid cat.
So those of you in the brig, you notice that the dude with the bandana wakes up. He starts to stir, kind of rolls a little bit this way, and his hammock swings one way and then the other. He rolls himself out, and he looks over and he sees all the people in the brig. He kind of smells it, notices the smell for the first time, and shuffles for some keys, fumbles for the keys on himself, and finds a pair of keys, and comes over with the keys and kind of shakes them so that you can hear the rattle of the keys. And he looks over everybody. So, are you ready to come out now?
If I can get away from the little guy in the corner, sure.
You can get away from it, but you got to promise to behave yourselves. You're on Captain Harrigan's ship now. This be the Wormwood, and you'll be expected to work. You gotta pull your own if you want to be fed. You want to survive, you do what we say. If you don't want to survive, then you don't do what we say. Is that understood?
Fine.
Everybody
Weapons.
kind of shakes their heads,
With no weapons.
and then the gnome dry heaves a couple times. It's a long and painful dry heave, but nothing more comes out.
The one that ends in like a coughing fit.
Yeah. All right, so the pirate opens the door for you, and he says, "Let me show you around. Come on, this way." So he leads you into that front area, right?
Where the
And
storage
then,
is.
yeah, the storage area. It seems that that's the only way to get up the stairs. And so then he leads you up the stairs, and you come out in this area where the snoring is coming from. And you can see that same grungy-looking dude sleeping on his bed with his chicken. And the pirate kind of smacks him as he lay there. And the dude just kind of rolls over and stops snoring for a moment. And you see all the chickens. There's chickens and pigs, and they're all finishing off that bag of grain. And you can tell that the galley is not functioning right now. I mean, it might be functioning, but he's not cooking anything at the moment. And you come up the stairs and out onto the deck into the sunshine, the beautiful, beautiful sunshine.
So wildlife's running around the kitchen. That purified food and drinks could come in real handy.
Pigs are clean animals.
Yeah, after they've been cleaned.
Yeah, so the light is extremely bright. For those of you with a hangover, this is extremely painful. The motion of the ship is exaggerated up here. It's a slower roll back and forth, but still a gentle roll back and forth. And you notice that it kind of, all this sudden sensation makes you feel a bit queasy again. If you have a profession sailor, then you are good to go. Otherwise, I need you to make a fortitude check.
You must make a fortitude check.
Profession sailor.
So, a 19 and a 1. The middle roll's a 2.
Yep.
Critical fail.
No, but it's
I
plus
thought
3,
I
isn't
was.
It is plus 3, so
Oh,
you
so
got
5.
5.
Yeah.
It's still a critical
Five.
fail.
Okay.
If you roll less than about a 12 on anything, it didn't work.
So, just the roll of the sea and the bright sunlight and the smell of the ocean and the saltiness just gets to you, and you make your way to the rail on the side and just heave. But at least you didn't throw up like in a small room where everybody else would smell it.
That was some nasty liquor last night.
And you are nauseated.
Is that a condition?
Grab that for me, would you, Joel? I mean,
The
Joe.
green one?
Yeah, it's a green one, and it says on it nauseated.
And I look over and say, please make sure you do that over the side. I'm swapping here.
Yeah, you see that clumsy cat from last
I
night,
just
and
turned.
he's like up here swabbing the
I'm
deck. Nauseated. It should be the other side of
I
sickened, I
just
think.
turned my head sideways and glared at him.
Oh,
Like,
No?
But if you
Yeah,
need, I will
that's just
even
kind of
bring
a
you a
reminder
bucket.
that you're nauseated.
I don't have my character trait stuff on here, but I think I had sailor stuff on here.
I got a +6 on my professional sailor. That's why I was just like, come up to the top,
You're
Nick.
good.
Profession
What's my job here? I got this.
Josiah does
I
not.
don't? Okay, so I have to roll.
Constitution. I mean, fortitude.
Yeah, I roll 3 d20s.
So I go off the
Middle.
middle number. So
Yeah.
9. So
9.
9
Yeah.
plus what's
Plus your fortitude.
Fortitude bonus.
3. So 12.
Ah. Get yourself a nauseated card.
Ah.
But you managed to make it to the rail before you heave.
Okay.
And some of it splashes back in your face because you accidentally run to the wrong side of the ship. you heave into the wind, so you get a little bit back on you, and you see some of that splash onto the deck.
And I come over and just give him a pointed look as I start swabbing around his feet.
I'm swabbing in the other direction of where they came up from. I see them come up and I'm like, no, I'm just going over here.
Okay,
That way.
you avoid them.
I do.
Yeah, that's fine. So the deck for non-sailors is very difficult to navigate. Not that it's complicated. It's simple flat surfaces with some stairs to more simple flat surfaces. But the rocking of the ship back and forth and the waves and the fact that it doesn't come all the way back, you know, it's not a pendulum that goes all the way one way and all the way the other. It goes all the way one way and comes back most of the way, but it goes back the other because of the push of the wind to the side of the sails, right? So there's just a lot of it's very disorienting. So as you walk around, for all the non-sailors, you spend a lot of time with a hand on the rail, which is good because it keeps you close to the rail in case you need to vomit,
We need to vomit again.
and you do. But once everyone is gathered together at the on the deck, and all the other characters have come up to the deck as well. Everyone from the brig is now on the deck. Even Contrabar, who was helped up by Sandara Quinn, dry heaves his way up to the top and then just sort of falls down at the edge, holding onto the banister rails there, heaving nothing into the wind. But everyone's gathered up there and talking and kind of discussing what's going to happen to them. And of course, Jack is extremely frightened. He's terrified that something's going to go wrong. And we're all going to be murdered. They're going to eat our guts for dinner. And Jackie is trying to console him. No, Jack, it will be fine. We're pirates now. It's just what we wanted. And so, Mr. Plug calls everyone's attention. He rings the bell. Ding-ding-ding-ding-ding. Greetings, all the new members of the crew of the Wormwood. Thank you for joining us today. And I would like to introduce to you your captain. This is the Honorable Free Captain of the Shackles, Captain Barnabas Harrigan. And all the people that, like, the main crew, right, they drop their mops and they clap, right? And so there's a couple of claps. Phoebe claps. Do you clap?
I don't look like put out or anything, but I don't really basically if it's possible to like portray that I'm still trying to figure out exactly where everything's gonna go, I do stop swabbing and I move over here and start listening with interest.
Okay. Okay, so the captain's still standing there with his arm over the wheel, and he's got the one eye patch over his eye, and he just looks like somebody you don't want to mess with. And he looks over the whole jumble of crew now. Are you clapping? Yeah. Okay.
Kind of looking around to see who else clapping.
Yeah, there's a couple of little claps from the people, but mostly they're just kind of seeing what's going to happen, right? And so Harrigan says, "Welcome! Welcome to the Wormwood. This is my ship, and you are now my crew. You will do what you are told to do. And because of this, we will function like a well-oiled machine. We will get the plunder, we will take it, and we will spend it. Because that is what we do. This is the life of a free pirate in the Shackles. Is this understood?"
Aye.
Aye! There's lots of ayes, yes. And most of them sound like they were out of fear, right? Not so much agreement, but aye, yes, it's understood.
Aye. Aye.
And I'm like, hey?
We will be profitable, we will get lots of gold, and we will spend it on what we want. Is this understood?
Aye.
Hi.
There's more eyes. You are free now. You do not have to do the things you did before. You are free pirate of the Shackles. But remember this. Never forget this. I am the captain. And what I say goes. If you disobey, there will be consequences. Just because you are free does not mean you are free to do whatever you want. Is this understood?
Alright.
Yeah, lots of eyes like that.